Welcome back to AI-powered podcasting the Digest.fm way. I'm your host, James, and in today's episode, we're exploring how to turn your newsletter into a compelling podcast using Digest.fm. If you're a newsletter creator looking to expand your audience and offer your content in a new, engaging format, you're in the right place. Digest.fm makes it incredibly easy to transform your written newsletters into audio content, opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Let's start with the basics. Why turn your newsletter into a podcast? Well, podcasts allow you to reach audiences in situations where reading isn't possible, during commutes, workouts, or household chores. It's a great way to expand your reach and cater to different content consumption preferences. Now let's dive into how to use Digest.fm to make this transformation smooth and effective. First, consider your newsletter structure. Most newsletters have a consistent format, perhaps an introduction, main content sections, and a conclusion. This structure translates well to podcasting, giving your audio content a familiar flow for your existing subscribers. When preparing your newsletter for Digest.fm, think about how it will sound when read aloud. You might want to adjust some of your written content to be more conversational. Short, punchy sentences often work well in audio format. Next, let's talk about frequency. If you send out a weekly newsletter, you could easily turn that into a weekly podcast. Digest.fm's AI can handle regular content input, allowing you to maintain a consistent podcast schedule that aligns with your newsletter. One of the great features of Digest.fm is its AI curation. If your newsletter includes curated content from various sources, the AI can help organize this information into a coherent podcast episode. Just make sure to clearly separate different sections in your input. Now let's address a common concern. What about visual elements in your newsletter? While you can't directly translate images or graphs into audio, you can describe key visual information. For instance, if you usually include a chart, try summarizing the main trends or insights verbally. Another tip, pay attention to your newsletter's tone. If you have a casual, conversational writing style, that will translate well to audio. If your style is more formal, you might want to adjust it slightly to sound more natural when spoken. Don't forget about your newsletter's intro and outro. These can be adapted to become your podcast's opening and closing segments, helping to maintain brand consistency across both formats. If your newsletter includes links or calls to action, consider how to adapt these for audio. You might want to include a brief segment at the end of your podcast directing listeners to your website or social media for more information. Lastly, think about how you can use Digest.fm's AI voices to enhance your content. Choose a voice that matches your brand personality and stick with it for consistency. Remember, transforming your newsletter into a podcast with Digest.fm doesn't mean abandoning your written content. Instead, you're creating an additional touch point for your audience, allowing them to engage with your content in whatever way suits them best. In our next episode, we'll explore advanced techniques for growing your podcast audience using Digest.fm's AI-powered features. Until then, start thinking about how your newsletter could sound as a podcast. With Digest.fm, the transition is easier than you might think. I'm James, and this has been AI-powered podcasting the Digest.fm way. Happy podcasting.